All right, so this is a drill for building core control in in a handstand in particular when you're upside down. And it's really to get the midsection under control and control the tension that you actually have so you can keep yourself balanced. And if you're doing this and you tend to have a lot of looseness in your low back and you just kind of dump into that arch to stay upside down, it's okay to do that to hold your position, but a lot of times people can't go in and out of that and control the shape, and it certainly makes it hard to come up to a vertical handstand. Now, what I recommend here is using a tuck, because what that does is by bending the knees and pulling the thighs in toward your belly, it limits the amount that your low back can arch. Once you pull the thigh in, you start to get some rounding in your low back. And you're trying to trigger that and engage the tension around your core to keep your legs in place and to hold yourself upside down and keep things in space. Now, it's easy to cheat this. So you could just go through this drill and just think, oh, this isn't that big a deal, and keep your foot on the wall the whole time. But this is all about engaging tension while you're in it. So what this is going to look like here is just keeping your hands probably about 1 foot to maybe 1.5 feet away from the wall. So not too close, not too far. And you sort of have to play around with the position. And when you come into this, you can come in however you like. You can tuck this up, do a kick up. I'm just going to go ahead and swing my leg up here and come to the wall. And then bring this into a tuck. Now, as I bring my legs down, I'm going to keep looking down at the floor, digging the fingertips down. And then I've still got the toes of 1 foot to the wall while the other leg is pulling in. Now, as I pull one leg toward my belly, if you watch my low back, you can see where it starts to round a little bit. And this gives me some control of where the lumbar spine is going to go. Now, keep pressing down to the fingertips. Try to dig into your fingertips to pull your toe off the wall. And then see about bringing the second leg to meet the first. And you just want to hold yourself in space and keep the tension. Now, I recommend holding this for about 10 to 15 seconds at a time, and this should be challenging. When you come down, bring 1 foot down and try to lower that as lightly as you can. So you're trying to hold on to that shape for as long as you can, keep in mind. And I don't have that flexible low back, so I can't really show you the extreme of the low back arch coming into this. But if that's what you have and your hips are really going way back toward the wall, it's going to be very dramatic looking here. And it's very challenging to pull off the wall when you're not used to balancing upside down in the middle of the room. The wall tends to be magnetic. So you've got to keep your body rigid. You need to hold that tension through your belly, and you're trying to control the positioning of your legs and your feet from your hands. So when your toes are on the wall, you want to dig down, press into the fingertips, push into the fingertips to let the weight transfer toward the heel of your hand. And it's a subtle cue, but if your arms are straight and you're pressing from the shoulders, that is where the control comes from when you're upside down. And as long as everything stays rigid, you should feel your toes come up off the wall. Now, if you start doing that and the toes aren't going anywhere, it's probably because you're still being pretty passive and pretty loose in your midsection. So hold that tension. Draw the one knee in toward your belly to put a little bit of rounding in your spine, and just keep everything as tense as possible. You may shake while you're doing this. This is very challenging, and it's hard just mentally to engage all that tension and hold on to it for time. And that's really what the exercise is here. It's very uncomfortable at first. You'll probably start shaking in odd places. You may even start to cramp a little bit. But you want to go into that feeling, into the discomfort, because once you can actually hold on to that tension and learn to tolerate it, it starts to not be all that big a deal. And you'll be able to do this more and more regularly, and then engage the tension that's necessary to hold yourself upside down. And it's not going to feel like anywhere near as much effort. But you got to charge into where the effort actually is to get used to holding on to the shape. And there's no way toward the goal of holding on except going through that discomfort, keep in mind. And I'm not talking about any sort of like sharp searing pain or anything, but the sort of shaking that you get is from the actual muscle engagement that you're trying to recruit, and it's very fatiguing. All right, so I'll just demonstrate this one more time. So again, hands within about 1 foot to 1.5 feet from the wall, and just go ahead and bring this up to the wall however you like, and then come down into your tuck. So the shoulders stay over the wrist, just keep pointing your eyeballs toward the floor. And from here again, I'm going to pull one knee in toward my belly, and I've got the toes of the other leg touching the wall. I'm going to keep pressing down. Now, as I dig into my fingertips, the foot lifts off the wall. Try to stay tense. And again, you're going for a 10 to 15 second hold. When you come down, keep one knee pulled in. Slowly bring the other foot down to the floor. And that's a very difficult hold to actually maintain and hold on to. But actually all the holds are when you're upside down and just learning to actually figure out the sort of engagement that you need through your body to hold on to your balance. So work it as best you can. I recommend doing somewhere between 4 to 6 of these for roughly 10 to 15 seconds each. And the daily practice is going to pay off. As regularly as you can do this, the more you're going to get used to holding on to that sort of tension and building the control while you're upside down. So yeah, hope this helps.